I'm Stuart. I've been a barrister for a number of years now, specialising in motor defence law. I used to do a lot of work for the Crown Prosecution Service in terms of prosecuting motorists. After realising that that's not particularly the nicest thing to do and not what I like doing, I switched my practice into defending people and putting that knowledge to good use in defending people. Since that time, I regularly defend people up and down the country for their motoring defence charges, mainly appearing in the magistrates' courts because that's where most motoring offences end up. The plan was always actually to go into the Royal Air Force after finishing my studies at university. Didn't turn out that way, and I ended up going on and studying, after finishing 3 years at university, going on to study law. And then I continued in that fashion and went down that fashion, and I ultimately had to make a decision of whether I wanted to be a solicitor who was going to be in a office most of the time, preparing cases and planning cases, that sort of thing, or I'd want to be in court doing the actual arguments and having the outlining the arguments and having and winning cases, and that's effectively what I found myself more comfortable doing. I was always in and about barristers, and so I remember very vividly actually as a child running around and meeting everyone in chambers and all that sort of thing. And of course that was very much the background that I was brought up in. Obviously it's quite helpful having a senior barrister as a father and as someone who I can always talk to about my cases, that sort of thing, because that gave me a lot of experience to draw on. I could always rely on that, and I could always discuss points of law, and it helped me more in my studies. Now that I'm obviously practicing barrister myself, I run my own practice and everything is effectively run myself, but it's nice to come from that background. Ultimately, it was always going to be the bar for me. I did a lot of experience working with solicitors, working in their offices, seeing what their job is and what their job entails, and if anything, that really just secured what I already knew, which was that I belonged in court and that I was someone who very much had to be at the forefront of running the case and effectively presenting and winning cases. I did my training, I did my pupillage as they call it, in a common law set of chambers, which effectively means that the barristers in my chambers come from a wide background and different barristers specialise in different areas. Other chambers work slightly differently. You'll have family sets that just do family law, you'll have criminal sets that just do criminal law. My training was in a wider spectrum, and I was exposed to an awful lot of different areas of law. After finishing my training and going on to directing my practice and building my own practice, where I found that I get some of the best results is in motoring offences and driving offences, particularly defending driving offences when people are charged with motoring offences. And I'm also instructed often, and I do a lot of work in employment cases. Employment and general civil is where I do a lot of my work. But certainly, in terms of public access work, the majority of my work comes through in motoring law and driving offences. I'm always available to be contacted. Once you've instructed me and once I've got conduct of your case and I'm working with you on your case, I like to keep in regular contact with people. I'm more than happy to speak to my clients on a regular basis about their case, so that they know that their case is being handled properly, and I know that we're keeping in touch and that we know what stage their case is at. I do feel that it's vital that barristers, when they're instructed directly by members of the public, keep in regular contact with their clients, just so that everyone's on the same page and they know what is going on in their case. The sooner you come, the better, because the more time they'll be able to dedicate to your case and the more work they can put into it. But no, there's no bar of when you can come, and of course if you call up and I'm free and I'm not already in court for someone else, we can take instructions, I can take instructions from you, and I can appear in court the very next day, even on the same day if it's a complete emergency and you desperately need it. But of course going to someone in plenty of time is often the best thing, because then that means that you can prepare the case properly and run the case properly. Often as well, if you come because you have one of those niggling feelings at the back of your mind and you think, I don't know whether I've got a case or not, but I think something's not right and I'd like to talk to someone about it, then that's the perfect time to come to someone, because of course often things can be resolved before going to court, and there's many steps you can take to preemptively sort the matter out and sort the problem out without having to go to court. And so the best thing you can do is take that first step and speak to someone. Well, of course, one of the other benefits is that if you do come to someone and you don't know if you've got a case, most people or most barristers I should say, that do public access work and are public access qualified will sit down and give you a free consultation at the beginning just to assess whether you've got a case and give you that initial advice. In many occurrences and instances, people will come to a barrister and say, do I have a case? And after looking at it and examining it, they may not have a case. And so it's one of the first steps in any event. So if you're on the fence about whether or not to bring a case, why not use the 15 minutes, half an hour, even an hour of discussions just to see whether that is the case, and you can continue with that. And of course, if I'm not available, then you can always contact shensmith, who will try to help you as best they can and give you the answer there and then, or indeed they can contact me and relay what you've told them and make sure that I get back to you in plenty of good time. But you can rest assured that in whatever circumstance, if you need desperately to make a phone call and find something out about your case, there's someone else to call and there is someone there to pick up the phone and answer your question. Given that I represent people all over the country, up and down in all sorts of locations, I always try to make myself available. There are practical difficulties with that, but we work around them. I'm always available on the phone. I also am happy to do Skype conversations and video conferences with clients, or indeed if you want to have a face-to-face meeting, we can organise that and book that in, and we can arrange that so that I can come up to meet you if you need to, or indeed if it's easier for you to come down to London and you feel that you want to do that, you can come down to my offices and we can have a conference together in person there. We do like to be flexible and we do like to work together, so whatever the situation is, call through, speak to us, and we'll try and organise the best way of talking to you and sorting that out. When I'm instructed on your case, I like to keep everything as simple as possible. The worst thing in the world is when a client turns to me and says, I wasn't expecting to have to pay for that service. I often find that the easiest way to run a case and to organise a case for someone is to break it down into manageable sections and then come to an agreement with them before any work is done about what work is actually being done and what that work will cost. Organising it in advance like that will mean that no one is surprised by any fees, and so that all the work that's done is arranged in good time prior to the work being done and for a fixed fee that won't catch you by surprise. The reason I like the idea of shensmith barristers and working with them is because I know that they're not there to fleece the client and simply take the client's money. Most people, when they come to legal professionals, be it solicitors or barristers, they're looking effectively for help because they are in trouble and they don't really know the best way forward. What I found working with shensmith is that they're not there just to bill you and use up your time and take your money. Effectively, they'll offer you some free advice where they can, they'll give you as much help as they can, and it's only at the point where it becomes apparent that you need legal assistance and that you need some proper form of legal help, will they forward you on to a barrister like myself, where we can discuss your case and take it forward. In many instances, it doesn't need to reach that stage, and if you do need, or if you do feel that talking to someone just to test the water and see what the situation is, shensmith is somewhere where you can call and have that initial conversation and have that initial talk. After that, you can also feel comfortable knowing that if their case is going to go forward and it does need to go to any form of litigation or towards court, they know they'll be put with someone not only who's competent to deal with it, but who specialises in that area. So, for example, if you're charged with a driving offence, or if you are charged with a fraud matter, you know that you're not going to just be passed off to someone in the team, but one of the barristers who specialises in that area is going to be handpicked for you because they know what they're talking about and they can be the best served to help you in your case. So that's why I like working with shensmith, because it's the extra effort in helping the client and making sure that all the reasonable steps are taken before it needs to escalate into the point where a barrister is involved.